Hey, hello everyone, this is Highlander from MTG Cardsmith doing another custom Magic the Gathering card review. And today we're reviewing a card by FireOfGolden. Now, you might be looking at this and saying, what's going on with this art? You might be doing that because that's what I'm doing. Well, it looks like FireOfGolden is drawing his own art, I'm guessing. Okay, cool. I mean, I'm not going to poo-poo on your art, you know? I mean, these guys are very expressive. I like it. They definitely don't look like Magic card. It definitely doesn't look like Magic card art, that's for sure, but... Alright, so let's see what we got going on here. We got Hekaw. Guiman's assistant? Guiman's assistant? Guiman's assistant? Assistants. Hekaw Guiman's assistants. Boy, that's a tough one to say. 2 green for a 1/1. Okay, this man's a weak sauce. But look, I mean, look at him. Look how skinny he is. Of course, he's a 1/1. He ain't got no muscles. All right, this is a legendary figure wizard. I'm guessing figure means like this guy is a figure, I guess. Figures you control has exile this creature. Search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield under your control, then shuffle your library. Okay, that's pretty good. I think. It depends on how many figures you has. For each time figure was exiled this way, put a karma counter on Hekaw. If Hekaw has 3 or more karma counters on it, transform him. Karma, huh? All right, so and then there's a flip side to this, which I will pull up here momentarily. Boop. Hekaw, the 3-headed. Oh, look at him. He's got 3 heads and he's got like tentacles or something. And his face is melting. I have to say, your faces are very expressive. I like that. All right, this is a legendary creature, figure horror wizard. Indestructible. Hekaw can block up to 3 creatures because he's got 3 heads, and he's a 5/5 indestructible. Yikes. Okay. So let's take a look here. So so this is a 4-mana 1/1, which is like not ideal. In fact, it's quite bad. However, he's basically an enchantment, more or less, because you can exile any figure, and how many figures are there? I don't know, man. But I'm assuming there's enough to make a figure tribal deck. At least that's probably the assumption with this ability. But being able to exile any figure to ramp is pretty strong, especially at instant speed, right? So it's like, if they cast a removal spell on your guy, you're like, oh, just kidding, I'm gonna exile that guy and ramp me, and then this guy gets closer to becoming a 5/5 indestructible. And this is an uncommon? I mean, the guy... Look, this guy is pretty, he's pretty weak, obviously. Like, he's never getting into combat, and he's pretty vulnerable to removal. But if they ever kill this guy, or if they ever try to kill this guy, you just exile him and ramp yourself. Because he's a figure. So, I mean, this guy seems just very good. This is like a mythic level card, almost. A 5/5 indestructible that can block up to 3 creatures. It's unfortunately for him to fall into experiment. Yeah, this card definitely seems too strong. Absolutely too strong for an uncommon. So... this guy's just like all upside, right? Because it's like All right, so all your figures, if they ever were to die, you just get to turn them into a ramp land, right? On a land on the battlefield. And then not only that, but this guy gets closer to becoming a 5/5 indestructible. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And then this guy, like, you're literally gonna... This guy will never... Like, most of the time you're going to 2-for-1 your opponent if they ever... Okay, so they have to kill this guy, right? They have to kill this guy. Because if they don't kill this guy, then all of your figures can ramp you, and eventually he's going to be a 5/5 indestructible. So they have to cast... They have to kill this guy, and if they kill this guy, guess what? He ramps you. He turns into a basic land, so your opponent just gets 2-for-1. They don't really have any option to not do that. And it's like, okay, well, they can, like... So here's another strategy. They can, like, be like, all right, I'm just going to aggro you down. Well, you can just block with a figure and then turn it into a land and ramp. Ramp, ramp, ramp. And then eventually this guy will turn into a 5/5 indestructible. That can block 3 creatures. So you can't actually do the aggressive thing. Yeah, I mean, FireOfGolden. I'm thinking this guy's pretty. He's too good, man. There's something in that coffee. There's something in that coffee, man. Yeah. All right. So I would suggest that what you do is make this ability sorcery speed. This ramp ability. I mean, this is a strong ability, right? Now, trading a creature for a land tapped, I mean, basically all your creatures become Sakura Tribe Elders. And for those of you who don't know what Sakura Tribe Elder is, I will look it up for you. Sacrifice Sakura Tribe Elder. Search your library for basic land, put that on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. It's this guy. But all your creatures are Sakura Tribe Elders. So here's what I suggest that you do. I think that if you make this ability sorcery speed, and I definitely also think you should limit it to once per turn. I think if this ability is sorcery speed once per turn, because otherwise, another thing you can do with this is you can, like, play this guy. Okay, so let's say you've got, like, 2 other figures in play. You can, like, play this guy, sacrifice, like, all 3 of them, ramp yourself 3 times, and then next turn... Oh, this doesn't even come in tapped. This doesn't even come in tapped. So you get to use the mana right away. And then but the next turn you'd have, like, 3 additional mana. I mean, granted, you are sacrificing 3 creatures, but you're not technically going down cards. You're getting lands, right? So... Yeah, I mean... Okay, I think this guy... Okay, I think the ability should be on this guy. So let me. The other thing is I'm not entirely sure about the flavor of this guy. I'm getting a little rambly here. Like, what exactly is happening here? Okay, so, like, they're doing experiments, I guess, and this guy sends out his lackeys to go get lands. They go collect lands. And then, for some reason, that's bad. So he gets karma counters, and eventually he turns into this thing because he fall into experiment. I'm not... This story has... There's some plot holes here. Alright, so let's see. Okay, so let me try to write this in a way that I think is a little bit more balanced. Figures you... Okay, no, sorry. Exile a figure you control, colon. Search your library for a basic land card Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Period. Next line. Oh, I guess you would just put... you just put it in the same ability. Put a karma... I actually kind of like the way... well... Put a karma... Let's see. Put a karma counter on Hekaw. Then shuffle. Put a karma counter on Hekaw. If he... I guess you'd have to say then. If Hekaw has 3 or more karma counters on it, transform it. So it would have to like all be this one ability basically, and then he flippy floops. So, and actually, probably what you want to do is make this just a tap ability. That way you don't have to like. So this still gives you the ability to like, you know, block and exile to ramp or do it in response to a removal spell. And speaking of, let's make this another. So this maintains the instant speed ability, but it means you can only do it once per turn. It means you have to tap this guy in order to do it. So you know, it just sort of limits the amount of nonsense you can do. And I don't think he should be able to exile himself. I mean, I guess you could keep that if you wanted to, but I find that to be a little annoying personally. That's sort of a designer's choice. Like you could make it so that you're sort of always guaranteed to get the value, but I'd kind of prefer it this way if I were doing it anyway. And this guy's complexity is so high that I don't see any reason for this guy to be an uncommon. This guy definitely seems like a rare to me. Okay, and then he transforms into this guy. Why is he indestructible? A 5/5 indestructible that can block up to 3 creatures. That is an incredibly annoying card. It just stops. It just like stops the game in its tracks unless they have flyers, right? This guy can block 3 creatures and he's indestructible. That's kind of like the opposite of what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to. You don't want to like incentivize people to just sit back and not do anything and play defensively. I mean, there are decks that do that, and that's fine. But you don't want to. I don't think you really want to design your cards for that to be the case. You want to design your cards so that they lead to a game ending, because you don't want your Magic games to take 5 hours. You know, you want them to be you want to be able to get more games in less time. That makes the game more fun, right? So having an indestructible creature that can block up to 3 creatures just completely dominates the board on the ground. And it means that like if your opponent's playing any sort of a ground-based strategy, well, good luck. You're never getting through this guy unless you have like an exile effect, right? Hekaw. So like I would almost. So first of all, 5/5 indestructible. I'm not a big fan of indestructible. You got to use indestructible really sparingly, okay? If you look at the way, let's look at the way that Wizards does indestructible, okay? Let's look at the most recent instances of indestructible. Most of them are going to be on like instants and sorceries. So I'm going to search for a creature that has indestructible, and then we're going to sort by release date. So the most recent one is Crew Captain. Crew Captain only gets it the turn that it enters the battlefield. This one has a cost, and you have to return a creature you control to its owner's hand in order to do it. Okay, and this is a fairly old card. When it attacks against indestructible, this thing, all of this is like conditional indestructibility or like giving another thing indestructible. Okay, this guy has indestructible. Target creature with power 5. It's a 5/5 indestructible, but this guy costs 7 mana and is from Shards of Alara, which is a really old set. I guess it was in Neon Dynasty Commander. This guy costs 7 mana, okay? This guy over here costs 4 mana and does all this other stuff. I mean, you do get the opportunity to kill him before he becomes indestructible. 5/5 indestructible. So maybe it's not the end of the world. But I definitely don't like this blocking out. I mean, I get it flavor-wise, right? Flavor-wise, he's got 3 heads, and therefore 3 heads, you know, you could block 3 creatures, I guess. But, like, maybe you could flip this around and just say, Hekaw can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. Something like that. And that way, like, you're incentivized to attack with your 5/5 indestructible, not just sit back and do nothing. I think that'll just lead to better games. You know what I mean? Alternatively, you could add some sort of an activated ability on this guy that costs a lot of mana, so that you can make use of the mana you're generating by turning your figures into lands. You know. That might be kind of nice, you know. So like you could like pay a cost to give this guy indestructible, some kind of a cost, or I don't know. Give him the ability to pump himself up. You can give him like an X ability where it increases his power and toughness by X or something. I mean, like whatever. Just a random thought. I get that you're kind of going for like a 3-headed thing here, but again, I don't think blocking 3 creatures is like the way to go. At least not on an indestructible creature. If he wasn't indestructible, this wouldn't bother me so much. Because I mean, if he's gonna block 3 creatures, chances are he's dying, you know. But if he's indestructible, he's not. So it's just this combination I kind of have an issue with. If this guy was just a 5/5 indestructible, it wouldn't bother me as much. Because of the fact that, like, you do get, well, with this way that I wrote it, you get plenty of opportunity to deal with this guy before he turns into a 5/5 indestructible. Currently, the way you have this written right now, you could actually just play this guy, and if you wanted to immediately turn him into this 5/5 indestructible that can block up to 3 creatures. Granted, again, you have to sacrifice 3 other figures, so it's like not the easiest thing to do, but it's possible. So anyway, what do I rate this card? Well, let me list some of the things I do like about this card. It's kind of interesting that you can exchange your creatures for ramps. I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's very strong, but I think that's fine. I think it's interesting. It's kind of cute that he starts as a 1/1 and turns into a 5/5, I guess. So I like this part of the card, I think, the best out of anything. And it kind of like makes sense flavor-wise to me. So this guy's an assistant, I think. But I think the idea being he's sending out other figures to like go do work. He seems more like a manager or a foreman, I think. Where he's like, all right, you go get a land, and then they go get a land. So this I like. If this guy costs like, I don't know, 3, and had like this ability without the transform, I think this card would be really cool, and you could potentially do that on an uncommon. But as it stands right now, this should definitely be a higher rarity. I definitely don't think you should be able to... I think you should definitely limit this ability to once per turn. I would say either make it sorcery speed and once per turn, or make it a tap ability, because then you're automatically making it once per turn, but you're not limiting it to sorcery speed. I think that's going to make this ability a little bit more fair. It's also going to mean that your opponent will have ample time to deal with this before he flips over into his 5/5. Here again, I think can block up to 3 creatures is on an indestructible. I think this combination is pretty obnoxious. If this were my card, I would get rid of one or the other. Like, if this was a 5/5 and indestructible, it doesn't bother me as much. If it's a 5/5 can block up to 3 creatures, it doesn't bother me as much. But this combination is just really good, you know? So, yeah. Okay, so... You know, the art's cute. It's not magic art. So you're kind of putting me in a bind here. I mean, I've started to become a little bit more relaxed about the art, but this is like, you guys are really pushing my buttons here with this one, you know? It's like, okay, fine. I stopped mentioning art with all the anime cards, just because I don't know. I get sick of talking about it, but then I see this, and it's cute. I like the art. I mean, it's cute, and the guys are really expressive. You know, it's fun. It's fun to look at, but it just doesn't. It's not a magic art. It doesn't look like a magic card. And that's kind of how I review magic cards. So I gotta take up points off for that, unfortunately, even though it kind of hurts me because of how, you know, because it's like you drew this yourself and it's cute. But I don't know. It just doesn't look like a magic card. I'm sorry, man. I apologetically have to take a point off for this. There are quite a few grammar errors as well. So I'm gonna give this one a 6 out of 10. No, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. There's quite a few issues with this card, but I think the potential lies here in this ability. This ability is neat, I think, and this actually has a little bit of flavor associated with it. So yeah, I'm gonna go 5 out of 10 here. But this card has some potential. It definitely needs some help, some love. This guy needs some love. Just look at him. Look at how upset he looks, you know? He needs a little bit of love. But given that love, I think this card could be interesting. So, all right. So a 5 out of 10 for Hekaw, Guiman's assistants. Thank you guys for watching.